Good evening, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Soberhead One Day at a Time. This is your host, Mike Melton, and tonight I got a special guest with me, um, a good brother right here, Gibbs. What's up, How you doing tonight, man?
What's good, bro? I'm good. How you doing, man?
Man, I want to thank you for coming on to share your experience, strength, and hope. Hopefully that this meeting we doing tonight to touch somebody and bring somebody closer to sobriety and closer to the Most High, which is God. Let's open up with the Serenity Prayer.
No doubt.
God, grant me the
Give me the
serenity
serenity
to accept
to
the
accept
things
the
I
things
cannot
I cannot
change,
change,
the courage to
the
change the
courage to
things
change the things that
things
I
I
can,
can, and the wisdom to know the
with to know
difference.
the difference.
May your will, not mine,
Amen.
be done. This is Cole, and Cole gonna share his experience, strength, and hope with us tonight. That hopefully it could touch somebody's lives, and then I have a few questions for Cole at the end, and we'll go from there. So, Cole, start us off, man.
All right, thank you, bro. Um, my name is Koshawn. Everybody call me Ko. Um, I'm from Trenton, New Jersey. Um, I was born in 1991 to my mother was 13 when she got pregnant with me and had me 3 months after her 14th birthday. Um, so basically, a kid having a kid. Growing up was, I would say, like any other inner city kid. I didn't have the least of them, but I didn't have the most either. We always had a roof over our head. Um, but I would say, as early as I can remember, I would say probably around where I can remember from maybe the ages from 5 to 7 or so. My mother was struggling with her own addictions, I would say, and I grew up really in I would say an abusive household. Um, so that right there alone, just being abused as a child, will have you thinking in a way that it's probably not normal to most other kids, and it created a violent streak in me, I would say, um, because of what was going on at home. I would go to school and I would take my anger out on the kids,
Mm,
although what people would probably call a bully. You know what I mean? Um, but really, I had a good heart. It's just I didn't realize what I was going through, the pain that I was going through, just wanting the love and acceptance from my mom, but she had her own struggles. Um, Around the age of 8, I would say, I found out that the man who I thought was my biological father, he we took a DNA test, and he wasn't.
mm,
So from that age on, I was confused.
mm,
Um, Personality disorder, like out this world. I didn't know where I stood really in life. Just a confused, and I always was a fat kid. So you know, growing up, you had people who try to pick on you, and the guys that tried to pick on me, I would, you know, put my hands on them. I thought that was the way that you solve issues.
mm,
So I believe that I've always had an addictive nature. I think the first thing that I was addicted to was food. I think my first addiction was food. Um, Through time growing up, I would say around those same years, between 7 and 8, is when I started. Is where I believe the spark happened, um, and what ended up being an addiction for me. Um, Around 7, 8 years old, I could remember climbing up to a cabinet on top of the sink, and I can remember it was some Seagram's gin in there.
mm.
Where we from, we call it Naughty Head.
Yeah, uh-huh,
So,
uh-huh, uh-huh.
so I took the drink of gin and I felt the burn, but for some reason it was so nasty, but I liked it.
Mm.
Uh, from then on, my mom used to have little get-togethers at the house, and I can remember this one guy was drinking I want to say it was either a Bud Ice or a natural ice, but I remember seeing the ice on the side of the beer can,
Mhm.
and I asked him, I said, what that tastes like? Because I seen everybody having fun, and I remember, we was watching? We was watching Money Talks with Chris Tucker,
Mm.
and we
Mhm.
was all laughing. Everybody was having a good time. The smell of weed in the air. Everybody drinking, partying. I'm like, dang, I want to feel like that. So I asked him. I said, why say ice on it? What it tastes like? He said it tastes like ice. I said, let me taste it. And he was like, nah. He said, when you get older, you'll taste it. So when he turned his head, I grabbed this can and I drank it and I put it down real quick.
Mm.
And I said, oh, that don't taste like no ice. But again, there was something in me that sparked that I was like, yo, I like this. Um, all within that same time, I can remember going downstairs in the refrigerator and it was a drink back in the day called Remy Red.
Mhm.
It was like a liqueur or something like that. And I can remember going in the refrigerator. I thought it was gonna taste like Kool-Aid. So I snuck, of course, I snuck and I drank it. And got that little tingling in my mouth, but something reawoke in me. So I would say from that time I probably didn't have too much to drink, but I think that's where it sparked right there.
Mm. Mm.
So growing up, through school, I was always a smart kid. Always, even though I had I would say emotional issues, um, I was always a smart kid. Very, very smart. I was always honor roll student, gifted and talented student. But I just had problems. Um, just as many other kids did. This just my story. Um, so I would say around the age of I'm fast forwarding here to maybe about the age of I would say 14. Um, I can remember going to church. I was going to church. My mom had given her life to God, and she had me and my younger siblings in church. But at that time, I'm just getting into, what 14-year-old boys getting into. Sex, losing my virginity, stuff like that. So I wasn't as focused on church as, of course, my mom was or the older people was.
Mhm.
So I remember me and my man go outside, and we go sit to his mom van. And I don't know how this happened, man. He reached in the back of the seat. Remember in the back of the seat, you used to have that pocket.
Mhm. Mhm.
He put his hand in the pocket, and he was like, "Oh!" And he pulled it out. And I kid you not, it was 85 degrees outside. He pulled out an ice cold Budweiser.
Mm.
It was ice cold. So we sat there, and me and him, we scarfed it down. Now this is beginning to awake back in me again. Now and I'm like, "Oh man, I really like this. Maybe this is the answer to what I'm feeling."
Mm.
Because deep down, I played a role as if I was the lively one, or if I was always having fun. Uh, that I was a tough guy also, because when we grew up, you had to be tough. You know what I mean? Or it was the thing to be tough. People respected you more when you was tough.
Mhm.
But deep down, I didn't even like myself.
Mm.
I never liked myself for years,
Mm.
until I actually got clean, sober. Um, so I started with that. Started drinking beer or whatever. Um, by the age of 16, I dropped out of high school.
Mm.
Um, I was going to Trent High, and I remember it was the first marking period, and my mom took me to the guidance counselor, and they said he missed 76 days, and it was only like I want to say December, maybe January. They said he missed 76 days. There's no way he's going to pass. Now, remember, I told you I was always a smart kid.
Mhm.
But at some point, I stopped getting challenged, and I said, you know what? I don't want to be here because I didn't fit in. Not that I felt I didn't fit in. I I, I would be around these kids, but I never knew where I stood because I wasn't a gangster or I wasn't that type of kid, but I wasn't this super church boy neither.
Mm-hmm.
So I would be around a crowd of people, but the whole time I felt alone. I've
Mm.
always felt by myself. And at this time in Trent, where we from, this was when the gangs was like, hey, it was
Hit.
hectic back
Yeah,
then.
yeah,
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 like
yeah.
so you really had to pick a side at that time. And I really, honestly, I ain't want no parts. You know what I mean? But I just didn't know where I wanted to go. So I dropped out of high school and I went and got a GED. Uh, I got that in May. In August, this is 2007. I enrolled in the Mercer County Community College. Probably the youngest, probably the youngest person on campus, 16 years old. Um, Went through that. Still not knowing what I wanted to do. Still don't fit in. Uh, I went for a year and I gave it up. So I can remember now that same friend that I went and I drank that beer in the car with. Now we old enough. Well, we not old enough, but we look old enough to go cop.
Mm.
So it was a bar on East State. You probably remember on the corner of Chambers and East
Yep,
State,
yep,
across the street from the
yep.
Martin House.
Yeah.
So they would allow us to come in and get 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 drinks. So at that young age, we both had a job. I had a little hoopty at the time. He did too. We would get off and we would go drink, and eat Chinese food, chicken wings and rice. So now it's boiling into me now. I get in a car accident not too long after that, and they prescribed me Vicodin.
Mm.
So I begin to take the Vicodin, but I'm liking how I feel now. Now I'm liking how I feel. I'm like, oh, what is this? Mind you, this whole time I'm searching for something. I'm searching for something to make me feel better than what I feel. You understand what I'm saying? Like
Mm-hmm.
I'm searching for an answer basically. Because remember, I got this personality disorder. Um, I'm very confused. I don't know who I come from. You know, an abused child. So and then I wasn't. At one point in my life, I wasn't always the one who got the ladies all the time. You know what I mean? Like I said, I was the fat kid. You know what I mean? So I began finding this. So from here is where I developed a pill addiction.
Mm.
I kept going to the doctor. I kept going to the chiropractor, and I kept telling them because I was heavy at the time. I was over 300 pounds at the time. I kept telling them, "Oh man, this medicine not strong enough." Because I end up, like I said, I got in a car accident. I said this medicine not strong enough, and he kept giving me higher dosages.
Mm.
So I started taking the pills, started taking Vicodins, and I can remember one night, man. I was just tired, man, and I was tired of who I was. I hated myself, man. I
Mm.
hated that I wasn't what other people was, what the other my counterparts, my peers was. I never realized that I was different. I
Mm.
knew that I was different, but I thought that it was a bad thing back then.
Mm.
Um, Emotionally disturbed. I got depression real bad. PTSD from a lot of stuff that we seen growing up. And one night I took that bottle of pills, and
Mm.
I had about 8 pills left. I can remember they was the yellow tens, and I had probably only had a 2 pill habit at the time. I popped two and I feel good. So I told God I don't want to be here no more. So I took the whole bottle back,
Mm.
and I immediately regretted it because as time went on, I could start to feel my heart
Mm.
pumping. I could hardly breathe. But at that moment, I began to pray. Remember,
Mm.
I told you I went to church. I've always had an instillment of church. My great grandmother was in the church, my
Mm.
grandmother, my mother. So, I began to pray and I say, God, forgive me, but I don't want to die right now. And he spared my life. But what also happened was it was the highest I've ever been in my life.
Mm.
And truth be told, I loved it.
Mm.
Um, my insurance lapsed, so now I can't get these pills anymore. So I began hanging with older people, a lot of the older gang members and stuff like that, in the trap houses and stuff like that. Um, it was free drugs. It was free
Mm.
alcohol, free drugs. It was, loose women running around at the time. Now I'm coming into myself, or at least I think. I'm not knowing that it's doing me the worst out of everybody that's around.
Mhm.
So I go and I end up I end up in the hospital. I started messing with X pills, Percocets. I began throwing the E pills inside the Henny.
Mm.
You, we used to call it I forget what we used to call it, dirty water or Molly water or something like that.
Mm.
And I'm just thinking I'm having a good time, but not knowing I'm doing my heart a lot of damage.
Mm.
Not knowing that eventually I'm about to have a chemical imbalance and go into drug-induced psychosis.
Mm.
So at that age, I said I was about 19 at the time. I ended up on what was it, the third floor, the fifth floor in St. Francis Hospital. I woke up one day and I was looking around and everybody around me was mentally disturbed.
Mm.
But I'm not knowing this is me too.
Mm.
So I'm looking around. I'm like, where I'm at now. I'm getting very aggressive, and so I end up assaulting somebody in there because I was scared and I thought they was following me. Um, I can remember being hit with a needle, and I'm only sharing this because I hope that it'll help somebody,
Mm.
so you don't have to feel ashamed.
Mm.
I'll be the sacrificial lamb. Um,
Mm.
so it hit me with a needle, and I remember going out. They put me in one of those jackets. I can remember waking up 3 days later, and they had a one-on-one guy on me. This guy was an old blood member from Passaic Street
Mm.
who had found the Lord,
Mm.
and he began to minister to me, and he was telling me how God had a plan and a purpose for my life, and he started telling me his testimony, and he was like, "Little bro, if I can get through this, I know you can." And he was like, "I'm not looking at you like you crazy. I see where you at."
Mm.
And one day I can remember I seen this lady say, "Come here, come here." It was an older Spanish woman, and she had long black and silver hair. And she pulled me into a room, and she said, "You don't belong here." She said, "Your grandmother sent me here to pray for you." And she pulled out some anointing oil, and she anointed my head, and she
Mm.
began to pray for me. But then she grabbed my hand real firm, and she said, "But the feeling I felt coming from this woman was so nurturing and so heavenly. Like, you get what I'm saying? It was a
Mhm.
feeling like I've never felt before, and I just wanted to stay with her." And she said, "Let me tell you something. Don't you tell anybody that you saw me here."
Mm.
She said, "Because if you tell somebody you saw me here, they're gonna think you're crazy and they're gonna keep you here longer. But you don't belong here."
Mm.
The lady left. I never told anybody. The next day, the family pastor came and saw me. He did. I never told him anything. He did the same exact thing. He
Mm.
anointed my head and he prayed for me. So after I got out the hospital, I told my grandma the story. She said, "I never sent anybody to that hospital. The lady had on all white."
Mm.
And I said, "Mom, you sure you ain't sent nobody?" She said, "No." And she said, "Don't no nurses in there wear all white." So I'm gonna leave that up to y'all, what you think that could have been. But in my mind, I think it was something spiritual, something divine.
Mhm. Mhm.
So I get out the hospital. Um, now I stopped the pills at this point. Now I'm picking up the bottle even more now, because now this is my go-to. So I'm just drinking, drinking, drinking. I end up meeting a girl that I went to middle school with that I hadn't seen in a long time. This girl ended up becoming my baby mom, which I have
Mm.
3 kids with today.
Mm.
Um, I wasn't I was too young to really know how to be a man at that time. So she ended up in and moving to another state. I stayed here and was still in my mess. I decided to go back down there and try to make it work. But thinking going down there, I was going to be able to change my life, but not knowing at the time that I was only taking me with me.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, so I got down there and nothing changed. It was actually easier because down there, regular stores got beer.
Mm-hmm.
You can go to a
Mm-hmm.
gas station and you find beers right in the
Yep.
in the
Yep.
freezers. Yep.
Yep. Yep.
And it didn't make it no better that I live within walking distance of the liquor store too.
Mm-hmm.
So I found and made every excuse on why I wanted to leave, and I did because I was selfish and I was
Mm.
self-centered,
Mm.
and I ended up leaving. Uh, Back in Trenton, drinking to another level now. She came back to come visit me. We end up making up. I go back down. We having our second child now. Um, I go down and I did the same thing. I did the same thing, and but this time she was pregnant with my son, which is my last child, and I end up getting news that my grandmother called me and she was screaming,
Mm.
and I was like, "What?" And she said he got shot. He got shot. My brother had just got shot. Had just
Mm.
gotten shot.
Mm.
Got in a little street fight, and guy had a gun on him and shot him. Um, so at that time, I'm trying to hold it in. I'm trying to be strong. She called back probably about a day later, but I couldn't sleep anyway. Now the screams are enhanced. Now the screams are, and I already knew. She said he was dead.
Mm.
He has succumbed to the bullet. And this was the same year the Cavaliers went to the championship with LeBron James because he was a big LeBron James fan, which I think
Mm.
was 2016, if I'm not mistaken.
All facts. Yeah.
So I came home, flew to Philly from Atlanta, came to Trenton to bury my brother. I went back, but mentally I wasn't there anymore.
Mm.
The arguments became worse. I started infidelity started. Uh, I began to drink more and I stopped caring. So
Mm.
eventually, in my selfish ways again, I left. I left again, and I left her there with two children and pregnant with my third son again because I was selfish and self-centered.
Mm.
Um, because all I cared about was me and how I felt. And I came back, and this is where I believe the beginning of rock bottom started.
Mm.
Um, I began to drink and drink and drink and drink till I passed out. Um, I started picking up other drugs, Xanax. It's my first time trying cocaine, and guess what? I loved it. I liked it a lot, and so I would drink, drink, drink till I passed out. I met another girl, and now that I look back on it now, you know, I've made my amends with her, but I used her, um, basically thinking I was filling a void, and she was an enabler.
Mm.
It didn't matter to her that I drink the way I drink. Um, so I began drinking a fifth a day.
Mm.
I was drinking a
And
fifth
there.
a day at this time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was drinking a fifth a day at this time.
I've
I
been
know you know.
there.
So been drinking a fifth a day, passing out. Now I'm feeling like when I don't have liquor, I'm feeling the shakes now.
Mm.
Now I'm feeling the dry heaving in the morning to where I can't function without alcohol anymore. So I fast forwarded through time. I go to a what would you call that? Like a speaker meeting for people for all the people who've got killed
Hmm.
by due to gun violence in Trenton, which my brother was a part of. So I seen a young, intelligent man up there speaking, uh, which happened to be this good brother who's hosting the podcast, Mike. Um, so I seen him up there speaking, and I was drunk there too.
Mm.
I was drunk there. I kept going outside. I had a bottle of Remy outside that I kept going out sipping. Um, I came back in, and of course, I had to use the bathroom. I come in the bathroom, and I see you. And the way you looked at me was the look like at first, like, who is this little, you know what I mean? Like, who's this dude, man? So that's when I began to inquire about, I began to share some things with you about how I drink. And I remember, I never forget, you said you got the allergy.
Mm.
And you said, I'm going to get in contact with you. Now, coming from where we come from, there's a lot of BS. I was like, man, this old head lying. He ain't going to call me. And sure enough, you called me. And I can remember I made up in my mind this was October of last year. No, 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 no. This was June, maybe June or July of last year is when I got a bed in New Hope.
Hmm.
So I went to New Hope, um, stayed there for 28 days. I ended up going to a halfway house. But because I didn't like the way, and I was still selfish,
Hmm.
and I was refusing to accept life on life's terms, and I ended up leaving because I didn't like the way they talked to me. I didn't like the way they did things. I didn't like the structure of it.
Mm.
So they put me on a van and they took me to Raritan train station. And before I even got out the car, I was Googling nearest liquor store.
Mm.
I had already had a few months sober or whatever. The liquor store was only 8 minutes in walking distance. I walked to the liquor store. Uh, I got me a small little bottle first, drank that, which I thought was going to have me super drunk, but it ain't do nothing but wake me back up.
Mm.
It's like that demon was just waiting there for
Uh,
me, like, come on,
uh.
I'm waiting on you. So, so I get on the train. I take the train to Newark. Lo and behold, I get on the go down the train track, track four, and lo and behold, what do I see when I get on the main floor? Another liquor store.
Hmm.
So I get a bigger bottle, and I'm drinking. Now I'm in full blown relapse, and I know it. I take the train to Trenton. I get off in Trenton. Now I just say, why am I getting these little bottles? I went right and got a fifth.
Mm.
And I went and got me some smoke. Went to go get me some weed. And like I said, I was drinking a fifth the day before. That was in October of last year. I relapsed. I started drinking two fifths a day now.
Mm.
Two fifths, and it wasn't. I wasn't buying Remy and Henny and all that no more. It was cheap vodka at this point now.
Mm.
Now I can hardly eat. I'm coughing and blood's coming up.
Mm.
Um, I'm using the bathroom, uh, doing the number two, and I look down and the toilet is completely filled with blood.
Mm.
Um, this liquor is killing my inside. It's killing me from the inside out, basically. Um, I'm going through things with this girl. Uh, End up getting in a few altercations, verbal altercations, physical altercations, not just with her, but outside on the street too. Um, I'm waking up with headaches. Woke up in jail a few times. Uh, and I remember I told God, my boy ended up letting me come in the room over there, but I was back and forth with her and there. So I remember telling God, I said, God, if this is how I'm going to be living, every day just drinking, not even eating anymore, just constantly drunk all day to where I can't even function in life anymore, to where I don't care anymore. I had lost my kids. Uh, I had lost the girl that I loved the most. I had no family. My family had basically they didn't wash their hands of me. They just wanted to see me do better, so they wasn't putting up with my BS anymore.
Mm.
Um, I felt like it was over, man. I felt like I had nowhere to go. So I prayed and I asked God. I said, God, if this is how it's going to be, if this is how my life is going to be, if this is how I'm going to end up, then I ask that you would take me now. Don't let me wake up out of my sleep.
Mm.
That next day, I found myself outside. I was at the girl house. She kicked me out. Couldn't get in my boy house. I'm sleeping in the train station.
Mm.
And at this time, I'm smoking Buddha Bud, which a lot of people may know as K2. And I'm smoking it till I pass out. And I meet this drug using streetwalker woman. And she told me, you don't belong out here. And we begin to talk. And the crazy thing is, her whole conversation was about rehab.
Mm.
Um, that night, I found myself in Kingsbury hallway at 3 a.m. in the morning, um, drinking um, and doing cocaine.
Mm.
Uh, the guy pulled me and he said, "Come on in now." When you know for people to come on in and just share all their drugs with you. And he told me he knew my uncles, he knew my grandfather, and I was telling him, "Yeah, I'm going to rehab." And he just so happened to be a former drug and alcohol abuse counselor who had relapsed.
Mm.
Yep. So I made it up in my mind after that. After that night, sleeping in the train station, and this wasn't my first time sleeping outside. I'm just rushing through the
Mhm.
story due to
Mhm.
time.
Mhm.
So I prayed again to God and I said, God, please help me. And knowing what I've had already learned from the rehab, I couldn't go on like this neither. So I called you again and you got me a bed. They called me and I still wasn't ready. So a week later, I basically just said, you know what? I'm going to go. And they had a bed for me. And this was December 10th of last year.
Uh-huh.
This
Uh-huh.
was December 10th of last year. I left, I left the girl house. Now I was already drunk when I got in the Uber. I asked the driver to stop at the liquor store. He stopped for me, and I got drunker than I, I got out of my mind drunk. Let's just say that. And I drove to the rehab, and I knew right then and there, I knew that it was over. I was done.
Mm.
And I walked into New Hope December 10th of last year, 2022. December 11th is my clean date. So if you do the math, well, we in December 7th.
Mm.
Monday, God willing, I have a year clean.
Praise the Most High, bro. Praise the Most High. I
Yeah.
love it. I love it, man.
Right.
I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it.
Yeah. So and about to wrap up here. So and I did it by I first basically accepted that I was an alcoholic and I wasn't normal. Not only just an alcoholic, I was an addict.
Mm-hmm.
Um I accepted it and I allowed God to do the work and I got a sponsor which I'm speaking to now. Um I did the steps and not only did I do the steps, I dove into it.
Yes, you did.
Because I really wanted change. And
Yes, you
at the
did.
step 4, I realized I felt free, man. I felt light like a feather, like a bird, man.
Mm-hmm.
And I gave it all up. All the things that I was holding on to, all the who I thought I was, all the pain and everything that I began to accept life on life's terms, and I let God do the rest.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
I stayed focused, man. I got a job, which I'm still at to this day. I enrolled in the school. I start midterms next week.
Praise the Most
Um,
High, man.
yeah, I have a great relationship with my children and my children's mother now.
Mm.
Um, I've made my amends with everybody that I can think of. Me and my mother has a good relationship. My grandmother, all my family's proud of me, and
Mm.
I'm proud of myself, man. And it's all by the grace of God. It was all by His grace and mercy that I made it this far. And I just pray and I hope that my story has helped someone or give somebody some type of inspiration. And Mike, I thank you for bringing me up on your platform and letting me share my story, bro. Thank you.
Thanks for sharing, man. I wanna thank you too, man. You really it's been a blessing to be on this journey with you. And I want to thank you
Mhm.
for coming on to sharing this experience, strength, and hope. How has sobriety affected your relationship now with your family and friends?
Oh, sobriety was the best thing I can do. Um, Now, don't get me twisted. Some people who I thought were friends, which I'm not even gonna say that they're not friends, but they're really not around anymore because we live in two separate lives now, and a lot of those people I used with. But the people that matter, that love me, and that I love, we have the best relationship, man. I'm much more responsible now. They have much more respect for me now, and
Mm, mm,
and I'm thankful for those people that's still around.
mm. How do you
Hmm.
manage uh people, places, and things?
Um, Man, I went straight cold turkey. I just
Mm,
I went straight cold turkey because I knew what I wanted. I knew if I kept going back to Trenton and back to those same people I hung with, it was only a matter of time because they're gonna get you high or drunk before you get them right, before you get them
mm,
sober. So
mm-hmm,
I wasn't even playing with that devil like that, man. I just said, you know what, man, I'm just going cold turkey and I'm gonna stay out here and I'm gonna get my mind right and I'm gonna stay focused. And that's what I did, man. I just cold turkey. I love them, but I had to stay away from 'em because I love me more.
mm. How long did it take you to get totally comfortable being sober?
Um, it was a journey, man. Sometimes I still have my days.
Mm,
It was just to be totally honest. Some days but it's not often. It's not
mm-hmm,
often.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
Um, I say I got a year now. I say maybe about 6 to 8 months in the process, I begin to get a study way about myself, and I began to truly accept, like, I'm different. It
mm-hmm,
was it was kind of hard because I go places and I see other people drinking, or I smell it, and
mm-hmm.
certain triggers I had to figure out myself, like, and that was by going through therapy also. Like I said, working the steps, going to meetings. Yeah, I did going to counseling,
Yeah,
IOP, and all that. I,
yeah,
I did every, I
yeah.
did it all, man.
I did all of that too, man.
Right.
What
Hmm.
advice would you give to the addict or alcoholic that's still suffering?
The advice I would give an addict or alcoholic that's still suffering, I would first let them know that realize that you're worth it. Um, I would tell you that you're worth it. I would tell you that it's much brighter on the other side, man. It's They say you live a life beyond your wildest dreams. That's not to say you're gonna get rich within a year or nothing, but
Mm-hmm.
the way you think, the way you feel, you don't have to carry that burden on you no more, man.
Mm.
Just let that go, man, and allow somebody to help you better than you can help yourself, because your way of thinking is gonna keep getting you where you're at and worse. So allow someone who knows more than you and who actually cares about your sobriety to help you, because trust me, it's much better over on this side, man.
I had a
Much
similar
better.
I had a similar experience as you with the steps. After step I did step 4, then after 5, that's when I had my spiritual awakening, and that's when I first felt the spirit come in me. How helpful, thoroughly helpful were the steps to you?
Oh man, it was a key part of me staying sober, of me
Mm.
staying clean. It was a vital, a very vital part
Mm-hmm.
for me, because it gave me a way to it helped me to learn myself.
Mm.
It helped me to learn who I was, and not only, and it showed me that I wasn't alone, and
Mm.
that there was many, many, many people out here that was like me. So I would say it's a key and vital part to me staying clean, even till this day.
Mm.
Even to this day, I have to go back to some of the things that I knew or that I learned, um, to help keep me going.
Mhm,
And
mhm,
yes, it was a vital part, especially reading that AA book, the Blue Book.
mhm.
That that showed me exactly who I was, man.
And to
Mhm.
wrap it up, how has your relationship with God improved during this process?
Oh man, I don't think I've ever had a better relationship with God. Like I
Mm,
said, I grew up in the church all my life, but did I ever really had a true relationship with God? I wouldn't say so. But these days I do. I actually feel now.
mm,
Um, I can't even talk to somebody a certain type of way without feeling bad and having to go apologize because my spirit won't sit right with it. Um,
mm.
you know, I feel things much more intensely now. I have a brighter outlook on things. These days, I'm optimistic instead of pessimistic.
Talk about it, brother. That's
Um,
what I'm talking about. Praise the Most
you
High.
know, so
Yeah, yeah.
and that and I'm so thankful, man. Every day I thank God. When I wake up in the morning, I thank Him for saving my life, for keeping me clean and sober. Without His grace and mercy, I wouldn't be here because it really had nothing to do with me. You know, I just sat down and opened up and let him take the wheel. And you know,
Well, and once again, I want to thank you because I sponsor other people in the past, and once we got to those vital steps 4 and 5, most of them quit out on me, and you stuck through it. And the book talks about once when you sponsor somebody and you actually see them go through the process, it does something to you as the person that's sponsoring them. It helps you on your journey. So I want to thank you for helping me on my journey. When I see you change to this person that you are now, and I
right,
receive a text from you, and well, man, my wife came for your anniversary down at the meeting, and I heard you talking, and I saw the spirit speaking through you, man. It really touched my heart because I'm remembering back to that day in the bathroom,
all
and
right,
I was about to go get in my car, and I wouldn't have never went in the bathroom. And the spirit said, "Go to the bathroom because you're about to get on the road." And it was just God setting up this situation for us to meet. And had I just
yeah,
got in that car, we probably wouldn't have met, and we wouldn't be here right now. But he needed it to happen like that. And I want to
right.
thank you for being a part of my journey. And I'm so proud of you, and I love you, bro. And we definitely gonna, most high willing, if you make it to Monday, because we take this one day at a time. On
Exactly.
Monday, we're gonna definitely go out and get a nice dinner. Not no wings or nothing.
Uh,
We this the year joint. We gotta we gotta celebrate a little. You
all
know what I
right.
mean? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So I wanna thank you for coming on, and then I'm gonna do the
right.
serenity prayer, and then we could be out. All right.
One last thing.
Okay.
Um, thank you again, bro. I appreciate you. And just to anybody who's listening, once again, give yourself a chance. And take somebody's advice, man, and do it for you, do it for your family, do it for your children, man. And all praise to the Most High. And thank you for this platform, man. I really hope that it helps somebody. But you can go ahead.
Moment of silence for the still sick and suffering, addicts, alcoholics in and outside these walls, followed by the serenity prayer. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things that can, and the wisdom to know the
Wisdom to
difference.
know the difference.
May your will, not
Amen.
mine, be done. All right, good
Amen.
brother. Thanks for coming on, man. And I
All right.
all right, peace.
No problem, bro.
All right.
Well,
That was a, told you guys he had a very, very, very inspiring story, man. I seen this young brother come a long way, and going through that process with him was a blessing from the Most High to allow me to do that. And next week, Most High willing, we'll have another guest on here to share their experience, strength, and hope. This is Mike. Please enjoy the rest of your night, and shalom.